Hello, everybody. We are live on Facebook right now, streaming live. This is Ask Andrea. So for those of you that had sent in a question to my website, www.andreabeeman.com, I'm here today to answer your questions, right? So we pick through the questions. We always get a lot of them every month, and I'll answer them live for you guys right now. And for those of you that are hopping on, you will also be able to ask questions, and I'll get to those. So, of course, I'm going to get to the questions that came into my website first. So for those of you that want to put in questions for the next Ask Andrea, right, go to www.andreabeeman.com, and on the sidebar, there's this Ask Andrea page. So let's get started because we only have like 30 minutes or so. Okay, so the first question came in from Mary. And Mary said, what can I take when I get symptoms like headaches and dizziness of Candida die-off? The best thing when you are having a die-off, let's say you have any viral infection or fungal infection or bacterial infection or anything like that, the best thing to take for those headaches, does anybody know? I know, you're like, that's why I asked Andrea, because I don't really know. Okay, the best thing to take is water. I'm not kidding. First of all, you need to flush your system, right? When you're having symptoms of die-off and the headache is coming from die-off, like I said, whether it's bacterial, viral, fungal, when you're having symptoms of die-off, then you have to flush that out of your body. So water. Increase your water intake when you are having those symptoms, when you're having that headache. Also, in general, if you get a headache, take water. Most people are dehydrated and they'll drink everything else except for water. So water, Mary. Nicole just put in a question. She says, what do you suggest for someone with Addison's? Okay, so you're looking at the adrenals. Actually, I'll get to that because first I got to get to these questions. But that's a good one. You want to nourish and support the adrenals and make sure they're getting what they need, like nettles, and you want to calm them down as well. Addison's is also autoimmune, so you want to also look at the digestive system. So that's a really great question, Nicole. Hi, Gina from Chicago. Hi, Debbie. Okay, so next question came in from Claudine, and Claudine says, hi, Andrea, remember me? I met you at the Take Back Your Health conference. I have a question regarding my 96-year-old grandmother. She still gets on a bus and goes to do power walking, weights in a chair, and yoga. She has been fortunate to be blessed with amazing health. However, last week, she told me that she has cramping in her lower abdomen and doesn't feel like eating and has lost some weight. She had to miss our weekly phone talk because she needed to go to the doctor. She was diagnosed with diverticulosis. I told her I would write to you. Do you have any advice that can help my grandmother? Thank you so much. I appreciate your amazing insight. P.S. Do you still teach live cooking classes in New York City? My friend Eileen wanted to visit there in January, and I thought it would be fun if you still do. Yeah, I still teach live cooking classes once in a while at the Natural Gourmet. I'm sure I have... in January, I may have something at the Open Center. So check my events page. Go to andreabeeman.com, click on events, and you'll see what's coming up. And if you want to see what's coming up in 2018, click on 2018, and you'll see what we have there. So for your grandma... she's lost some weight and she has some cramping. So she's 96. God bless her. My gosh. Whoa. Lucky you to have a grandma that lived that long. She's got a lot of wisdom. She said, the older we get, the wiser we get. So here she's having cramping in the lower abdomen and she doesn't feel like eating. So I would actually increase her salt. Just a little bit, right? Because salt stimulates the production of the hydrochloric acid. So you could either have that salt, and not a lot, right? You can have it in the form of a pickle, which is a classic appetite stimulant. It's also pre-digested, so it's easy to digest. Pickle, if she's not averse to spicy stuff, kimchi. And look, that bright light coming in from the window. I hope it's not bothering you guys. Maybe I'll put my head over there so you don't get blinded by the light coming in from the window. A little bit of pickle, something to ease the digestive system. At her age, 96 years old, you could use bitters. You could use digestive bitters with her, but I would use very low dose because when you're 96 years old, you tend to dry out a little bit, and bitters can be very drying. And that'll help to, she has diverticulosis, right? So anytime you have an itis or an osis, you're having an infection. So you could even try chamomile tea with her to calm the digestion. That's That's a classic, right? Chamomile tea or mint tea as well. And like I said, bitters, if you're going to use it, you get digestive bitters. You could get Herb Farm digestive bitters or Urban Moonshine. They all have great ones. And just a couple of drops, like literally 2 or 3 drops because of her age. You don't want to dry her out too much. Okay, big hugs to you. And for those cooking classes, go to my website and click on the events page. And look at how high this thing is. Let me pull this down a little bit. Let me see if that helps. Oh, that light is your vibrant aura. Thanks, Ricky. No, it's actually the sunlight coming in through the window. That's really just sunlight. Okay, so the next question came in from Lisa, and Lisa says, "Hi, Andrea. My TSH, for those of you that don't know, it's thyroid stimulating hormone, is slightly raised but not above what the UK doctor would diagnose as hypothyroid. My T4 is normal, but my T3 is low. How can I fix this? I don't take medication, but I'm currently suffering with anxiety and dry skin. Help." Okay, yeah, so the anxiety and the dry skin. First of all, you have to nourish the nervous system. Right? The dry skin is that you're not absorbing fats. You're not absorbing, you may not be breaking them down, you may not have enough fats in your system. So for fats, I like burdock root, because it helps you digest the fats. But for the anxiety, something calming. Meditation, if you do it. If not, then go get a massage. And also, what's bringing up the anxiety? A lot of times, the nervous system is out of balance, or there's stress internally, emotional stress, physical stress, and that'll bring up anxiety as well. So, you could even use like some classic herbs to help bring down the anxiety, like kava, lemon balm. Although with the hypothyroid, I wouldn't necessarily use lemon balm. You may want to try motherwort instead, a classic herb for anxiety, reducing anxiety. Okay, so I see some questions coming in, and I will get to those questions. First, I'm going to get to these questions that came into my Ask Andrea page on AndreaBeeman.com. So the question came in from Christina. She says, "What do you say and recommend for gastrite and esophagite?" So I think she may be from another country. She says, "Even taking Nexium, my stomach is very painful. There's no burning sensation. It is more the sharp pain." Okay, so Nexium, I can't tell you, I'm not a doctor, I can't tell you to stop taking your Nexium, but from a healer's perspective, the Nexium actually doesn't help, it'll make it worse. So for gastritis, right, again, another itis, maybe you have a little infection, you have some inflammation in there, you have to look at, okay, am I producing enough bile? Is my gallbladder and my liver working well to produce enough bile so that everything is moving through the small intestine in a quick and easy and efficient way? She's also having stuff happening with the esophagus, so something's happening here. Maybe the valve is weak, right? If she has a weak valve, there's a valve that keeps your stomach contents in the stomach, right? And when that valve gets weak, it'll open and you'll have this burning sensation comes up. But she said there is no burning sensation, there's more of a sharp pain. So here's where I would use either bitters, one of my favorites, because the sharp pain could be that there is a little infection in there somewhere. So bitters, maybe start with chamomile tea, but I can't tell you to get off Nexium because I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you to get off Nexium eventually because it's not helping. It's not helping, right? The pain is still there. It's very painful and all that stuff. Okay, so Laurie says, "What does a change in eye color mean?" Meaning dark brown to hazel. Laurie, I don't really know. I mean, you could be like a chameleon. Like sometimes my eye color changes with my whatever clothes I'm wearing. It's almost like a reflection. But if your eyes are changing like to brown to green to brown to green, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else has a good answer for that. Why it would change. Well, brown and hazel are actually really similar, right? The hazel just has a little flecks of green and golden in it. Although dark brown to hazel. I'm not sure. Somebody else may know. And also, you may want to check out an iridologist, right? Because they can go in and tell you what's connected to which organ system. Deborah says, I've been following you for years. I make chicken broth. I have not been able to use every jar each week, and many people say it's good for 6 months frozen, and you say 3 months frozen. What's the difference does it make if it's frozen? The reason I ask is we've been out and about over the summer, and I just haven't been using it each week, and I hate to throw out 6 jars down this sink. Maybe I made too much, I don't know. Okay, it's a great question, Deborah. You don't have to throw out your stock. I suggest making new stock every 3 months, and generally you may not want stock during the summertime. So, like stock is a builder. Bone stock is a builder. So classically in the summertime you want more cleansing, cleaning foods, right? Lots of salads and not so much stock. So when it comes around, May and June, don't make any more stock. Right? Don't make any more stock unless you have osteoporosis. Then drink stock all summer long, right? But I say 3 months because the freezer doesn't actually stop the decaying process, it just slows it. So when you put something in the refrigerator, it doesn't stop the decaying process of that food, it just slows it. And then when you put something in the freezer, it slows it even further, right? So it's still decaying. You're still getting decay in the freezer, it's just happening at a much slower rate. And of course, if it's not sealed tightly, then you're going to get freezer burn and it's going to taste like crap anyway. So I suggest making it new every few months. But you may, like I said, you may not want it during the summertime. Who wants stock during the summer? Unless you have osteoporosis and you're in a state of deficiency, don't have stock during the summer. Have a nice little gazpacho soup, right? Something cooling and refreshing. Maria says, about low thyroid. Best natural ways to treat it, please. I was just told about this a week ago and I have no idea what it is and why I have it. I don't know anything else. Please help. Okay, so the thyroid slows, and there's a rash of thyroid disease happening across the United States and around the world right now. So the thyroid in ancient medicine, this is your communicator. It's communicating. It's communicating internally. It's communicating externally. In Western medicine, it's responsible for metabolism, right? It speeds metabolism, slows metabolism. So hypothyroid is a slow metabolism. So if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, listen, you have a low thyroid, you possibly could be gaining weight, right? All these other symptoms could be coming out. But you have to start asking, why is my thyroid slowing down? Am I not getting enough nutrition? Am I doing too much? Am I not getting adequate rest? Because the body won't slow down for no reason. There has to be a reason, especially if, like, we naturally slow as we age. But if you're at a young age and you're diagnosed with hypothyroid, the slowing of the thyroid, something else is going on. So in Western medicine, they say, here you go, take this medication, speed up the thyroid. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh my God, I'm totally wiped out. I can't get out of bed. I'm depressed, right? All this stuff is coming because you never got to the root cause of what was slowing down. Why was the thyroid saying slow this system down in the first place? Always look to the root cause. So Maria, if you don't have it yet, I'm going to get you my book. I want you to slow down. I want you to take a read on this, Happy Healthy Thyroid, the essential steps to healing naturally, and get the information that you need, okay? So Chelsea says, Andrea, last year my dad, 72 years old, had a heart attack. He has a stent put in and he's fine now, thank goodness. However, the doctor has put him on Crestor, a statin to lower his cholesterol. Apparently he has to be on this for a long term. I've heard you say statins can be harmful for brain health and have been linked to early onset dementia, so I'm quite concerned. Is there anything you can think I could suggest to my dad to use as an alternative to this to help prevent harmful effects to the brain? Any advice would be appreciated. Yeah, what happens with the statins, and it's not just me that says this, it's a lot of the alternative practitioners and doctors, the heart doctors out there are talking about that statins are not actually good for the heart and for the brain. So you have to look for the alternative treatments. So he's got a stent put in, and that can have the cholesterol, the buildup could be possible. If he's not, if his system isn't running well, the buildup could happen around that stent. So he may have to take the statin, but while he's taking it, you want to make sure that he's getting good quality food and he's getting rosemary in his food, right, which is great for the brain. The herb rosemary, put it into his food. You could even have something like ginkgo biloba, right? And that's, people say, I take ginkgo and it doesn't work. You may not be taking it right? You may be taking it for the wrong thing. So, I would suggest that you get with an alternative or an integrative health practitioner who knows about statins, right? Because now that he has the stent in there, he's going to need to be on something. But your dad is blessed to have you. You're taking care of him. You're worried about him. So, Chelsea, he's blessed to have you. Just give him lots of big hugs, lots of hugs all the time while he's here. Victoria says, how can I regrow my hair even after I've had a thyroidectomy? Which organ I need to support first? Okay, so hair loss and thyroid, they're actually not connected. Even though every single thing out there on the, every person is saying, oh yeah, my hair's falling out. It's my thyroid, it's my thyroid, it's my thyroid. No, it's actually not connected to your thyroid. You have to reduce stress, nourish and support your adrenals, and support the kidneys as well. Regrowing hair after a thyroidectomy, it's not due to the thyroid. So you really, especially with the thyroidectomy, that's the loss of the thyroid now, start to nourish and support the adrenals as much as you humanly can. Now, I'm going to take a question. I have about 30 more questions here that came into my website for the Ask Andrea. If you go to AndreaBeeman.com, on the sidebar is the Ask Andrea. So I'm going to get to some of the questions that came in live. Francis says, what is good to take for kidney stones? Well, the first is you want to stop producing the kidney stones, right? So something's happening that the salts are accumulating in your system and you're not releasing them well. So I had a friend who was he was having raw kale juice for like a year. Every day, raw kale juice, raw kale juice, raw kale juice. Right? It was a lot of mineral, and he couldn't process all of that mineral, especially in that cold state. And he developed 30 stones. You had to go to the hospital. It was crazy. So you have to make sure that you're able to process the amount of minerals that are coming in, and you're not putting in excess. Right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is I would, Herb Farm. Do you guys know Herb Farm? It's little tinctures you can get at the health food store. So Herb Farm has one called Stonebreaker. And it's got a couple of herbs in there. And I would follow the directions on that. And it's long term. You take it for about 30 days or 60 days or something like that. And that's what I would do. I take it on a daily basis to get rid of those stones. But also no cold drinks. Right? So when you have a stone that forms in the body, you have to think about why did all that stuff come together. And cold in the world, right? Let's look at the universe. Let's look at nature, right? Cold is very contractive, where warm is expansive. So if you're forming stones, whether they're gallstones or kidney stones or any other calcifications, look to see where the body is too cold. So when I was first studying macrobiotics and Japanese medicine like 20 years ago, when somebody had kidney stones, we would do a kidney compress, a warm compress that included ginger. So we would grate ginger, put it into hot water, soak towels in that, and then lay that hot towel with the ginger juice, right, onto the lower back. And what that would do is that would heat up that area, would bring heat to that area to help relieve some of those stones and get the blood and the circulation moving, because why does something coagulate? Why does something get stuck? Right? It's not moving. So when you're dealing with stones, it's a cold thing that's happening in the body. So stop drinking iced drinks, icy cold smoothies, all that stuff. Okay. Catherine says, I thought cruciferous vegetables were to be avoided, and yet I noticed many recipes for them. Are they allowed? Yeah, that's also a big misconception. It's funny, whenever I post up something on my Facebook or anywhere, people are like, I can't believe you eat this, and I can't believe you eat that, right? Because I had thyroid disease years ago. So yes, cruciferous vegetables are not to be avoided. They're not to be avoided when they're properly prepared. So cook them. Traditionally, cruciferous vegetables were cooked. right? They were cooked. So having broccoli or broccoli juice, right? Maybe not the best idea. Having raw cauliflower at the party, not so good. Unless you have a really high iodine diet. If you are taking a lot of, right, because the cruciferous vegetables, what they do is they can inhibit the uptake of iodine. But if you're eating a lot of iodine already, like seaweeds, then certainly, see how many cruciferous vegetables you can have. So I'll give you a good example. I had a girl many years ago, like 15 years ago. She had a huge goiter. And I said, okay, you need to start incorporating seaweeds so that you can get some iodine to release that, right? But also to support the digestive system. And I said, don't have any raw cruciferous vegetables. And she told me, well, I eat raw. I'm on a raw foods diet. And I said, that's okay. You could still be on a raw foods diet, but what are you eating raw? And she's like, I'm eating kohlrabi, and I forgot turnips raw in salad every day, right? So they're both from the brassicaceae family. So that, don't do that, right? So within, like 8 months of taking out the raw kohlrabi and turnip salad, the goiter started going away, as well as putting in the iodine-rich food, which is the seaweed. So, like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So something's going to happen in the body. We just have to really get to know it again, right? Get to know your physical body that you're living in. So let me take another question here. Natalie says, I appreciate you. I appreciate you too, Natalie. Your generosity of knowledge has benefited me immensely. Fantastic. Ricky says, always great, applicable, intuitive. Oh, that light. Okay. Kelly says, I'll be 49 tomorrow on Synthroid for Hashimoto's. See, this is everywhere. I'm telling you, it's everywhere. I feel like I'm gaining weight no matter what I eat. I want to try another medicine. However, I'm not sure what to take. Okay, so if you want to try another medicine, I can't help you with that. I'm not a doctor. I actually try to get my clients off of thyroid medication because it doesn't help them. Exactly what's happening to you, right? You're on Synthroid for Hashimoto's and you're gaining weight. So the root cause of the problem was never addressed, which might be lymphatic system, could be sluggish, right? You could have what's called dirty blood, right? So then the liver is cleaning, and can't get to all the crap that's in there. So whoop, you start to gain weight. Stress, whoop, you're going to gain weight. So you have to get to the root cause. So I don't actually recommend medication for healing the thyroid. There's a time and a place for medication, and that's not it. So for Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune, go into the digestive system. What's going on here? Over 70% of your immune system lives in the digestive system. If you have an autoimmune condition, you got to go there first. Stress, yes, somebody put in stress with like 100 million exclamation points. That's correct. Okay. Cindy says, have you heard of someone with a TSH level as high as 90? I'm waiting for my doctor to call back, but I don't know of other markers. It was a routine blood test during physical exam. Yeah, like if you can, try not to focus on the blood test. They'll drive you insane and create a tremendous amount of stress. Right? Just get your body and your diet in order. And, start to eat locally, seasonally, organic, naturally raised, lovingly prepared food and see what happens. Exercise on a daily basis, move your body, right? Move your body, because remember I was talking about sluggish lymphatic system for the other gal who's gaining weight? Movement. You need movement for the lymphatic system. Without movement, your lymphatic system gets sluggish. So doesn't mean you have to go to the gym and pump iron every day, but certainly move on a daily basis. Whatever it is, take a daily walk, do some jumping jacks, do 100 jumping jacks. Okay. So let me take another question here. Debbie says, my daughter has polycystic kidney disease and has been told she will eventually need a transplant. Any suggestions to slow down this progression? Yeah, I would suggest you get with a good herbalist. You could find one, Google online where you live. Get with a good herbalist so they could, or a good holistic health coach, right? Or an integrative practitioner, because, she's not on... her kidneys are still functioning. They may not be working well, and they do have cysts on them, but cysts come and go, right? Cysts come and go. That's the truth. And if you're accumulating and building more cysts, then something's happening. Your detoxification system, or your daughter's detoxification system, is not working well for the growth of the cyst to continue to be there. She could also have some virus or bug or something like that in her system, because they can also be problematic in forming little cysts inside the body. So, get with a good practitioner. She's not on, don't wait until you're a good mom. Right? The doctors say she'll eventually need a transplant. She may not need a transplant. She could get this situation if she's willing to do it. So as the mom, you love your daughter, right? You can only offer her advice. You can't force her to do anything. You can't make her change her diet or her lifestyle. She's on her own journey. You can love her during her process. If she takes your advice, fantastic. If she doesn't take your advice, still love her exactly as she is. And, for me, it's like, okay, of course, take the advice, but not everybody will take the advice, Not everybody wants to heal conditions. It's a journey, right? Healing yourself is a journey, and not everybody wants to take that on. They'd rather go to the movies, and sit and have a big thing of popcorn and a soda this big, right, the size of their whole body. I see that, and I'm like, oh, my God. Lord, it reminds me of that, did anybody see that movie WALL-E? With the little robot, and all the people go up into they destroyed the earth, right? And they go up into this little, I think it's a spaceship or something like that. And for those of you that haven't seen WALL-E, 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 just see it, because you have all the human beings. They can't walk. They're in like these little floaty machines, and they have these big things of soda, and they're like gigantic. Oh my God, they're not functioning at all. They're just attached to their. It's so funny because it's so truthful. This is what we're headed towards. But not everybody's here to heal their conditions. Some people just want to be in the chair floating around with a big soda. Hey, that's their prerogative. Don't judge. Okay. Let's see. So Paige sent in a message, and she says, and for those of you that are wondering where I'm getting these questions from, they came into my website, www.andreabeeman.com, on the Ask Andrea page. This page says, I've been struggling with hair loss for 10 years now. Unfortunately, I've had an ovary removed, several large fibroids, and half my thyroid. Okay, so this is telling me, right, ovary removed, large fibroids, and half my thyroid. So her blood is not moving. Actually, fibroids indicate stagnant blood. So her blood is not moving. So this is going to contribute to what's called dirty blood. So it makes sense that the hair is falling out for 10 years. She said all of these surgeries were between 2007 and 2012. I've been trying to incorporate a healthy lifestyle. I'm working out and eating healthy for the last 2 years, including juicing, but I struggle with the hair still thinning and difficulty losing weight. I'm an IIN graduate, and I'm still not seeing results with all I've learned. Where am I going wrong? Will my hair ever thicken, or am I stuck with this after all these years? I'm on Thyroid daily. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so for the past 2 years, you've changed your diet. That's fantastic. For hair loss, I don't necessarily recommend juicing, even though I think it's great for clearing the blood, right? Because you got some dirty blood going on, and that's not a bad thing. It's just an indicator. So for hair loss, remember that hair, right? Your hair is a discharge, just like your nails, right? So hair is a protein discharge. This is protein, right? This is protein. So if your hair is thinning and falling out, where are you not absorbing your proteins? What's happening? Is something happening with look at the little pom-pom on top of my head. Something happening with your digestive system that you're not actually absorbing proteins, or you're not getting the right proteins. So, like for hair loss, I generally recommend something that nourishes the kidneys more deeply. So bone stocks, beans, meats. I do recommend meats. Especially, like you have blood that's not moving, right? So you may need to build the blood, and you also had an ovary removed. You may need to build the blood and get movers in there as well. So, it's not so easy to say unless I could see what you're doing now on a daily basis. So I would suggest you go to my website, go to consultations, and see if you want to take this on, because I'll totally work with you on that stuff. Fibroids you had them removed, and half your thyroid, but you're still here, right? So that's good. Okay. Denise says, what do you know about slipping rib syndrome? Now, Denise, I have to tell you that that's the first time that I've heard about that. Slipping rib syndrome. I don't exactly know what it is. So if anybody knows what it is, please help Denise out. I don't know what it is. Okay, let me take another question here. Natalie says, I've been using a Bilberry lutein supplement. To the best of your knowledge, are these irritable to digestion? Because intestinal distress has plagued me for a month and I'm hesitant to visit the doctor. She wants to prescribe antibiotics for everything. So Bilberry and lutein, this is for the eyes, right? So, you know, like what are you trying to do? You know, like what's the purpose of the Bilberry and the lutein? I think that's how you pronounce it, lutein or lutein or something like that. You know, like what's the purpose of it? So are you know, like how are you taking it? What else are you putting in? I'm sorry, I'm looking at this little hair, this little pop thing here. Let me just put this up and get this out of here. Get my little protein discharge out of my face. So, you know, like digestive distress and irritable digestion, you know, what's happening? What else is happening? And let me just check the time, 1:30. What else is happening in your system? So for digestive distress, are you eating under stress? You know, it may not be the supplement, it may be something else. Although I generally don't recommend supplements. Like I would recommend herbs in teas, you know, for anybody that's having like digestive trouble, like even somebody like I was talking about before, you know, they have something happening inside the digestive system. I recommend teas, you know, good old-fashioned teas that have somehow lost favor in our world, right? So like, how long has chamomile tea been on the planet? They've been using it for thousands of years for intestinal upset. And, you know, like, nobody's drinking it anymore. So chamomile tea, you know, I remember when I was growing up in the 70s, anytime there was stomach upset, chamomile tea, go into the cabinet, there was chamomile tea. So try it first. You know, like we get so, with all the science and all the stuff that's out there and everything on the web that's telling you this, that, and the other thing, there's a million things that take. You know, I work with clients that are taking like 50 different things a day. And you know, they can't digest anything. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, take all that stuff out. Give your body a little break, right? So why are you taking the Bilberry and the lutein? Do you have trouble with the seeing, right? What's happening with the vision? So if something's happening with the vision, you have to look at the liver. What's going on with the liver? Because in Chinese medicine, right, thousands of years old medicine, the liver meridian runs up through the eyes, right? Up through the eyes to the top of the head. So you want to make sure that the liver is detoxifying well. You want to make sure that it's not overworked and overwhelmed. Hold on to your gallbladder as long as humanly possible. Stimulate the gallbladder with bitter, right? So it releases into the small intestine so you don't have any backup going on there. But I digress. And I don't blame you for not wanting to go to the doctor, Natalie. I don't blame you at all because, you know, they've been taught one way and that's what they know, right? One way, okay, you got this going on, let's give this medication, that medication, that medication, instead of, okay, well, what's going on inside the physical body? What's going on inside the emotional body? And I'm not anti-doctors. I actually use doctors myself. But, you know, like once a year, and only because my husband makes me go for a blood test. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't, unless I broke an arm or something, I probably wouldn't go. Okay. So the next question came in from Serena, and Serena says, I have a problem with thyroid. I just got blood tests back, and my TSH level is 0.0005. I also had an ultrasound on my thyroid, and I have a goiter on each side. Okay, so I also had a goiter. I had a very large goiter, and, you know, the first thing they wanted to do was radiate my thyroid. Thank God I said no. You see that gigantic lump in my neck? So I would suggest picking up my book first before you do anything. Happy Healthy Thyroid. And, you know, like when those numbers are out of balance, it's just a snapshot of a window in time. So if the numbers are out of balance, it doesn't mean that the whole thyroid, got to get this medication, get that medication. What's going on that you're imbalanced? Are you not detoxing well? Are you not getting enough sleep, like I talked about earlier, right? Not getting enough sleep. Are you not getting enough nutrition? What's going on that the thyroid is out of balance? Are you under stress? Emotional stress every single time. You'll knock out that thyroid. And it could be knocked out for 2 months, 3 months, or something like that. So somebody has a death in the family. Traumatic, trauma, right? It's going to stress the adrenals. It's going to go to the memory, the limbic system, the nervous system, your whole thing, right? The whole thing is going to be under stress when you lose somebody like that. So it's going to slow the thyroid. So what I find in my practice is a lot of women and men will come after they've had a trauma and their thyroid is slowed and they're on medication, but they never resolve the trauma, whatever it was. So, you know, it's really getting to understand those processes a little better. Like the thyroid will normalize again, but you got to heal the trauma. Okay, but I digress. Let me come here. Connie says, today is World Mental Health Day. Thank you. Blessing my day. Oh, Connie, thanks for showing up. I love Connie. She's so always here. Yeah, so Mental Health Day. So let's take a moment, right? And send some love to your brain. Relax your brain. Do some meditation. Do some deep breathing. Unplug from all the drama that's happening. Take a look around. Hug your loved ones. You know, do something that's going to bring some peace, right? Because when we have peace, then the mental health, right, gets really supported, right? You have peace, then your system starts to calm down, right? If you're always like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta, right? Woo! It creates so much stress. So let's see. Esty says, what are your thoughts on a 72-year-old lady that had a severe vertigo and was put on meds and she's still slightly dizzy sometimes 2 months later and she's had a headache in the back of her head? Esty, this is all telling of the liver actually. So this back of the head right here, this is a very important point. It's a gallbladder point. And once you get a headache here, gallbladder is not functioning well. And she may have her gallbladder, I'm not sure. Right, so something's congesting the gallbladder. This is not working well, right? You're getting pain. It's an indicator. Pain is the body saying, hey, wake up. It's almost like a little internal slap. Come on, you, snap out of it. So you've got to take a look at the gallbladder and see what kind of fat she's eating. If the gallbladder is congested, you want to possibly think about a gallbladder cleanse. You know, like the best time is in the spring, but you could do it any time of the year as a quick little flush. You know, just to get her liver and her gallbladder functioning well. Slightly dizzy. She could have liver heat that's rising, right? That can be the dizziness, but also vertigo. In general, you're having stones in the ears, right? So if you look it up online, there's a couple of, forgot what they're called, the type of doctor that, you know, they have you lay down and put your head to the side and tilt those little crystals back in place. Right, because we have these little crystals and stones inside, and if you're accumulating too many stones, that's also a problem. So, you know, like have her, like look that up on the web, you know, like ear stones, look them up, ear crystals. And you want to get the exercise to get them back in place. And it's, you know, it's something like laying down and then shifting the ear. I don't know exactly, so look it up. And if she's slightly dizzy, right, even after doing that, then you've got to look at the liver. You've got, you know, you could have liver heat that's rising and causing this dizziness that's happening. Okay. Oh, Sherry and Jennifer said, great book. I told my endocrinologist to read it. Oh, it's good. Okay, so let me get to another question over here. Suzanne says, someone told me it's a sign of thyroid problems if you don't have moons on your nails. Have you heard this? No, actually. When I was studying physiognomy, which is the art of visual diagnosis, no moons indicates a person that is not very physical, right? They're more emotional and mental, more up in the mind, right? Whereas someone with a strong moon shows a very physically active person. That's the way that I was taught. It could mean something else. You know, like there are different theories of what it means, but I haven't heard of thyroid problems and the moons on the nails. Although if you are hypothyroid and you're not physically active, that could make sense. Okay, so Ursula says, Andrea, I have a question regarding my bladder. For the past few months, I've been having little issues with my bladder, more frequently going to the bathroom. Is there any remedy that you would recommend, because I can't hold it for a long time, is there any remedies that you would recommend to take to straighten my bladder? Straighten the bladder. Okay, so that's a great question. Ursula, I would suggest that you start to do some toning and tightening, right? And also check to make sure, like sometimes the bladder will get irritated if there is excess bacteria there. So you want it, the bladder is the place that you want to have actually a higher acidity. You don't want the bladder to be alkaline. Something that you could do is for your own sake, to keep the bladder clear, is like have a large glass of unsweetened cranberry juice, and it is very hard to take. Like people will be gagging getting down that cranberry juice unsweetened. It is so sour and astringent, and that sour astringent like that is very toning. It's very toning, so it'll help to tighten where you're not going to the bathroom all the time. But you also have to look and say, okay, is there a little infection in there? Is there something irritating my bladder? And that's when you would use like something stronger, like an herb. Like sometimes for bladder infections, I recommend black walnut hull. It's great for bladder infections as well as fungal infections. You could also try something like golden seal, although golden seal is more for the upper respiratory. But I would try black walnut hull and cranberry, and have that cranberry, like once or twice per week, right? To just tone that whole area up. Okay. Denise says, oh, I already answered that one. She said, do you agree with high levels of vitamin K1 for osteoporosis? Not necessarily. Like for rebuilding bone, you have to have balance, right? So when we start to take high levels of vitamin D, it throws the system out of balance. We take high levels of K1, it throws the system out of balance. So I generally recommend for bone loss, somebody with osteoporosis, start having bone stocks. Into those bone stocks, you're gonna make a nice minestrone soup with beans, with greens, with vegetables, with garlic, with all of the stuff that's gonna help you absorb on a deeper level. You're gonna throw some good quality fats in there. For osteoporosis, you're probably gonna put in some type of meat, right? So actually, you don't even need it. Like if you have a bone stock and you have beans, you don't need any meat, because you already have the bone stock, and that's going to be a lot of liquid minerals that you can absorb. Also, I've had lots of clients with osteoporosis. They start drinking nettles tea on a regular basis, and they start to build the bone back up, which is really great. But if they're dry, then the nettles tea won't work. It'll make them more dry, so you have to put something in that's going to be moistening and softening, like red clover or something like that. And make sure they have good quality fats. Okay, so Anne says, Andrea, last month you answered a question for me about kidneys. I'm 29. I had fluid and itching in my left ear and 5 infections in that year, swollen lymph nodes on the left side under that ear. You told me to support my immune system and eat toning and astringent foods. I have a couple of questions about that. I've read that toning and astringent foods help dry up water. Yes, but I'm worried how that will affect my consistent issue with constipation, even though I drink plenty of water. I'm usually bloated, retaining water, and yet have had a lifelong problem with constipation. I can't seem to mesh these two problems: excess fluid in the ear, water retention, bloating, and constipation. Can you explain how that's possible, and provide a few herbs and foods to help this issue for my ear and any things I need to avoid? Okay, so lifelong constipation, right? This is a chronic condition. So that's the emotional body, right? If this has been here since you're like a little kid, you're looking at the emotional body. So the large intestine, right, which is where you're having the constipation, right, because the large intestine is responsible for releasing the feces. It's also responsible for reabsorbing the water back into the system, as well as any other vitamins and minerals that were missed in the small intestine. So you have this large intestine, which is directly connected in ancient medicine, is connected to the family. Okay, so it's also connected to your safety and security. and ability to provide. So you said this has been forever, right? Your whole life you've had this constipation. So, get with a Psych K practitioner, get with a good, a therapist, right? And try to think about something that happened when you were little that was very fearful, because when we're afraid, right, your sphincter, your colon can't relax and you can't go to the bathroom, right? So you'll have trouble, you won't, there's two things that happen when there's a fear, right? You either lose your bowels or they get stuck, right? So you have these two things that happen. So you're in the stuck position, right? You're in the frozen position, frozen colon. So you have to relax, get some relaxation around that. I would even suggest go getting a stomach massage, right? Go get a stomach massage, like shiatsu practitioners. They'll get right in there and they'll massage your large intestine through, of course, they're not going to go up your butthole and massage your large intestine that way, but they'll massage it from your external cavity, right? They'll massage and help to relax and get that moving. Also, a daily walk is imperative for the muscle, right? So you have this peristaltic action. It's 1:45. Sorry, guys, we're going over. 1:45, you have this peristaltic action, this muscle that happens in the large intestine. You have to get that muscle working. So a daily walk stimulates that action of the muscle to start working. Now, for constipation in general, you said you're drinking enough water, but you're still constipated. So it's not necessarily the water. So don't worry about the toning and astringent foods. You actually may want, something like, I don't know, have you tried psyllium husk, right? Have you tried good old-fashioned wheat bread, right? Which has those fibers that'll feed the large intestine, feed the fungus in the large intestine to help you go to the bathroom and that kind of stuff. Are you eating enough fibers in general? So that's something to think about. There's a lot to it. And I don't know what you're doing on a daily basis, so that's hard to know. Okay. Julia says, and I know there's more questions coming in, so I'll get to these. I'll take one here and I'll take a couple here. Angelica says, every morning I a bad bread. I think it's yeast. What I'm doing wrong? I have a clean diet. Any advice is welcome. Okay, so bad breath indicates that there is stagnation in the digestive system, right? Because this is the beginning part of the digestive system, and your anus is the end part of the digestive system. So if there's bad breath, there's a backup in that system. Even if you're going to the bathroom, something is not moving. It's getting stuck in that system. So I would make sure, first of all, that you're drinking enough water to flush the system. Secondly, make sure you're having enough chlorophyll-rich foods, because that'll give you just a nice, pleasant odor. Parsley. Have parsley with your meals. You could be eating too many nuts and fats, because that can congest the system, right? If you're having too many sticky foods, right? Something's getting stuck in there, and that's where that odor is coming from. Kelly says, I need your book. You can get it. Happy Healthy Thyroid. I got 4 books, but this is my latest. Okay, Maureen. Hey, Maureen. Maureen says, what can you tell us about drinking those different detox waters like lemon with cucumber, mint, and ginger? What are the side effects, if any, besides going to the you-know-what all the time? So lemon and cucumber, for the gal who is constipated, by the way, cucumber is moistening, right? It'll help with that bowel movement as well. So those detox waters are great, but you can't detox all the time, right? Your body's naturally detoxing, and we can assist that process. So, I think those detox waters are fun, lemon, ginger. Ginger is not necessarily a detoxifier. It's more a stimulant to the circulatory system. Mint is also wonderful, but make sure that it's delicious and there's no chemicals in there, because then you're putting, like a lot of those waters, they'll have these natural ingredients, but they don't say what it is. So then the liver has to process that, whatever it is. And if you are going to the bathroom all the time, and you're not in a detox, then that's not a good thing either, right? You want the bowels to move on a daily basis. You probably don't want to go more than 2 times a day, 3 times max. When, you know, I have students and clients tell me, oh, I'm so healthy, I go to the bathroom 6 times a day. That's actually not healthy, right? Because your body needs to be able to absorb, right? You don't want to lose everything. You want to be able to absorb, and you want a well-formed feces. So if it's coming out broken and it's loose and you're going to all the time, it's actually not a good thing. Okay, so I have a couple more questions here, and then I'll take one more here, and then I'm hitting the road, yo. Marcia says, I'm interested in a certification on treating people through nutrition, healing their health issues and illnesses. I'm an IIN graduate, and I know a lot about essential oils. Which class would you recommend for me, live or online? Marcia. A certification on treating people through nutrition, healing their health issues. I'm not sure. You know, like I went to integrative nutrition almost 20 years ago, and you're an IIN graduate, so look around. I have a New Healers Master Coaching Program, which talks about the internal organs and the meridian diagnosis and chakras and emotions and the food and the herbs connected to each of the organ systems, but there's no certification for that. That's a mentorship program. And that is, the next one is launching in January. So if you want information on that, go to AndreaBeeman.com, look under programs, and you'll see that program. I also have, a holistic health cooking certification program. That's online, and it's 10 classes, and you get a certification. So if you go to AndreaBeeman.com, again, programs, and you scroll down and you see holistic health cooking certification, you can get that program, and that is a certification. Deana says, love your videos so much, taking a lunch break and enjoying learning from your experiences. Oh, good. I have chronic yeast infections, even though I eat a whole foods diet, no added sugars or processed grains. I exercise regularly, great blood sugar levels, and I've tried every natural remedy that I've read about. The only thing that truly works are boric acid suppositories. Do you see any danger in using this once a week to keep yeast infections at bay? Thank you for your time. Okay. So if you have chronic yeast infections, then your ileocecal valve is out of balance. So the ileocecal valve is the valve that keeps your large intestine separate from your small intestine, right? Keeps the backup from the large intestine going into the small intestine. So that takes time to fix, and that you have to do seasonal eating, right? If you want your internal organs to get strong, align with the seasons and the environment and the food that's available, right? Align your internal environment with the external environment. That's one of the ways to start to strengthen the valves. Also, black walnut hull, again. So you may have a fungus that is just roaming around in your body that needs to be cleaned up. So it's one of my favorite antifungals. So chronic yeast infections and the boric acid suppositories, you know, like you don't want to rely on something all the time. So doing something every week, you want to tighten up those valves inside so that you don't have to take a boric acid suppository every week. You want, you know, you need fungus in your large intestine. You need it. You need Candida, you know, the Candida fungus. You need it in the large intestine. When it escapes from the large intestine and starts to go elsewhere in the body, that's problematic. So you want to strengthen that little valve. So I read a great book many years ago. It was called, I'm forgetting the name right now. It'll come to me. If it doesn't come to me, but if it doesn't come to me, you're plumb out of luck. but it was really great. Eating Alive. It was called Eating Alive by John Matson. And he's a naturopath up in Canada, and he talked about the ileocecal valve. And so you need that fungus that's there, but you need it to stay where it's supposed to be in the large intestine. Okay. So Martha says, can I shrink my nodules on my thyroid gland, and how? It's a process. Why are the nodules there? Do you have virus, right, that's forming the nodules? Do you have stress? Nodules come and go. I would really suggest my latest book, Happy Healthy Thyroid to get you on your path, or you could take my Nourishing Thyroid program, which launches twice a year. And the next one is coming up in October, in 2 weeks. So you could look for that. You go to andreabeeman.com, look under programs, Nourishing Thyroid Health, and that is a 4-month program where we cover all of, like how to shrink your nodules, how to get your digestive system functioning, your endocrine system balanced, adrenal health, what to eat, how to cook it, right? All of that we cover in that program, and you get my support and guidance along the whole way. So let me finish with a couple of questions here. Sherry says, thank you for clarifying that it's okay to eat cooked cruciferous vegetables. Yes. Eat them. They're good for phase 2 of your liver detox, right? Eat them. Oh, thanks, Francis. Thanks, Dana. Kelly says, I have a goiter. Yeah, I had one too. It hasn't come back in 20 years. You can get rid of that little sucker. Send it some love, right? Send it the stuff that it needs, and it'll start to shrink, shrink, shrink. Also, this is your ability to express yourself. How are you expressing yourself? Are you yelling and screaming? Are you speaking gracefully and truthfully? What's going on? Okay. Connie says, Herb Farm is my go-to, thanks to you. Oh yeah, I love Herb Farm. You could get them at any, they got great quality ingredients. You could get them at any Whole Foods, any natural food store, and they really got great herbal protocols. I really love them. Debbie says, thank you, Andrea. I'm an IIN health coach, and she won't listen to me. You are right on with your message. Yeah, I just love her. I just love her, Debbie. That's all you can do. Ricky says, the majority of my clients tend to be on yo-yo diets and or prescription drugs, all stressed. Organic, real true foods, spices, herbs, proper food combining, getting their cook on, physical activity, self-care has helped the majority of them. Haha, you're touching on all of that. Yeah, Ricky, it's true, right? So, they're just yo-yoing all over the place. And I see this all the time as well. They're jumping from here, low fat, high fat, keto, the other one, what's the newest, paleo, they're just autoimmune paleo, they're jumping all over the place, and it doesn't really help. They just gotta start eating clean, natural, wholesome, relax. Oh gosh. Aisha says, any food to avoid for fibromyalgia? Yes, so we're looking at, you want to get off all the chemicals, all of the crap, start eating naturally, right? You want to nourish that, nervous system and your endocrine system. You want to nourish it and relax it as much as possible. Okay, so it is 1:56. And more questions are coming in. I got to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. For those of you that have more questions, send them in to Ask Andrea. I'll get to it next month, probably the end of November or something like that. You go to andreabeeman.com, and on the sidebar, go to the Ask Andrea, put in your question, and I'll try to get to as many as I humanly can, before my brain explodes. And I'll try to give you the best advice that I can. I know some things. I don't know everything. I know a couple of things about stuff that I like to share. So I want to thank you guys for... Elsie talked about the slipping rib syndrome. I had it for years. However, it turned out that I was just extremely inflamed. I quit dairy and lessened the inflammation, and the problem with my ribs resolved. Oh, great. So that's cool. Thanks for sharing that information, Elise. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to listen to this Ask Andrea, and I'm wishing you vibrant health. And Connie told me that it's Mental Health Day, so vibrant physical, emotional, mental, energetic health. Right? All the way around, from every level that you are as a human being. You're multifaceted creatures and you're beautiful. So have a great day and a great week. Bye, everybody.